Yo guys, it's Triff here with Parallax Entertainment, and today we're going to take an introductory look at one of my favorite specs so far this expansion, and that would be the Beast Mastery Hunter. If you're new to the spec, or maybe have to dust off Titan Strike since the beginning of the expansion, this guide's definitely for you. Today we're going to take a quick but effective look at our main abilities, talent effectiveness, some relics, stat priority, as well as some single target AoE rotations and a burst DPS scenario we're going to take a look at. Also, some information about gems, enchants, things like that. And some tips that I've found to maybe help push you from being an LFR hero to getting called back into those pre-made group finder pugs, or hey, even joining a progression guild. But there's a ton to go over today with all the changes of 7.2.5 as well, but we're going to leave that for another day, so don't want to get overloaded, but we can always save that for part 2. So before we get into more complex things, let's break down the basics of understanding what goes into Beast Mastery combat. A vast majority of your damage is caused by your beasts, being your chosen pet, as well as Hattie, an animalistic extension of your legendary weapon Titan Strike. Through them, and your other minor teammates in Dire Beast, you channel the power of the wild, or in my hunter's case mechanical, and strike your foes down as an animalistic general of sorts. Your main resource is going to be Focus, which is an ever-regenerating resource needed for commanding your beasts, as well as using some combat abilities of your own. The most important is being Kill Command. This is your biggest damage-dealing ability, and you should be sure to use this on cooldown at all times. Dire Beast, or Dire Frenzy when talented, calls for aid from nearby animals, adding more damage to your meters and reducing the cooldown of your main combat cooldown, Bestial Wrath, which will increase your damage by a percentage for 15 seconds. Also use this on cooldown. No exceptions. Cobra Shot is a main filler, but be sure to use it now and again, but never overkill command. Unless otherwise talented, make sure to use it only as a way to make sure you're never capped on your resources. Multi-shot's an AoE substitute for Cobra Shot, and also gives your pets Beast Cleave, making them strike all enemies around them. In short, Cobra Shot's going to be for single target situations, where multi-shot's going to be for AoE. Make sure you understand that. Another main cooldown for Beast Mastery is Aspect of the Wild, which increases your focus generation and crit chance for 14 seconds. It's excellently paired with Bestial Wrath, although it's on a much larger cooldown of 2 minutes. Make sure you can use it when you can, but don't be afraid to wait a second or two if it means you can pair it with Bestial Wrath. Lastly, you'll have Titan's Thunder, which is an artifacted gold ability, which gives your pets extra AoE damage for 8 seconds on a 1 minute cooldown. Always use this on cooldown. There's others, such as Disengage, which are more defensive, which can be used to get out of dangerous situations, or to be able to get to certain areas quickly to follow mechanics. Aspect of the Turtle is another great defensive cooldown, which essentially negates unavoidable damage, but use those on a situational basis. They don't really have much of a use in an offensive cooldown rotation. So you're a talented hunter. You braved the scenario to acquire Titan Strike, tamed the mightiest beast from all over Azeroth, and hey, you even hit 110 in the Broken Isles. But what talents do you need? Let's take a look at our talents in depth and figure out which ones work. Our tier 15 talents give us 2 pretty decent options depending on your playstyle. The first thing I'll tell you right now, Big Game Hunter, it's trash. It can be an option that some may take to increase damage during an opening burst window, but honestly, the other 2 give so much more over the course of an entire fight that it really can't be considered for most Mythic Plus and rating content. Way of the Cobra pairs excellent with Dire Beast, granting extra damage with Cobra Shot with every Dire Beast thrown at your opponent. And with the new changes this patch granting every BM Hunter 2 stacks rather than only if you have the Mantle of Command, it can be quite effective. Dire Stable, on the other hand, pairs well with the level 30 talent Dire Frenzy, creating a smaller arsenal of beasts, but a more powerful companion. Some still choose Way of the Cobra over Dire Stable, but I personally find that I like the increased focus that it gives when I don't have the pet out. It can really optimize your damage during certain phases of combat, which we'll get into later. Tier 30 has a very similar build. Stomp is paired excellent with Dire Beast in AoE scenarios, while Dire Frenzy is an excellent single target boost for your pet. They're both very viable choices, and Chimera Shot's just really not viable at this time. Maybe someday. Tier 45, there's only going to be one option, and that is Post Haste. It's really the only way to go on this tree. With the free Get Out of Snare Free card, as well as the increased mobility afterwards, it enhances every strength of the Beast Mastery Hunter with mobility and speed. You will not find a better option at this time. Tier 60 is where we can have an argument with this one. One with the pack increases the chance of having more refreshed dire abilities, which leads into more and more chances to enter Bestial Wrath, whereas Bestial Fury grants just a flat DPS increase to Bestial Wrath by 15%. It's never going to be a bad option. Blink Strikes can be argued for in fights where you need to constantly switch targets and take advantage of the instant teleportation, such as switching to adds from the bosses on, like, say, for example, the Chromatic Anomaly fight. Talent choices here may dictate stat priority, but my advice would be to go for Bestial Fury unless you have the new 725 Legendary Soul of the Huntmaster, in which case, definitely go with one with the pack. You'll be glad you did. Tier 75 is all about crowd control. Binding Shot's my go-to for this round, as it's a chance to stun multiple targets. It's beneficial in mechanics such as Scorpion adds and the plants that spawn from the High Botanist encounter. Intimidation is great for stuns on non-mobile targets that won't be moving out of a Binding Shot. Adds from the Croesus Freight, for example, are an excellent reason to use Intimidation. Wyvern Sting? It's used for PvP, I guess, but that's a whole nother video. Tier 90 is another toughie. Murder of Crows is going to be your go-to single target ability in this tier, and while I'd usually recommend Volley for AoE, Barrage can be useful in situations of high concentration of adds like Scorpion, but I prefer the smoother, less focus-intensive drain that Volley puts in, rather than having another cooldown which also has a channel time in it, so it's going to also reduce the use of other abilities like keeping up your Beast Cleave. With Tier 100, Killer Cobra is the king. Seriously. It makes Beast Mastery rotation during Bestial Wrath feel powerful. It makes it so that you have something to do, and it creates those windows of moments of glory which really can't be done with the other talents. Stampede's really cool, but it really requires single targets, and having them not move whatsoever to really be effective, and Aspect of the Beast is trash. So for single target, you're going to want to take 3, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. So for an example here, for a single target encounter such as Star Augur, Croesus, or Anomaly, this will allow you to maximize single target damage on fights. Although for minor things, you can always toss a multi-shot in to get some necessary AoE with Beast Cleave. And for AoE, we're going to want to take 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, 2. Here, for AoE, we're working with Stomp to really amp our output out, along with one with the pack to increase the amount of beasts that we're able to get out, making us animal bazookas. This spec also works great for Mythic Plus, helping us to maximize damage on trash fights, which can be some of the most challenging aspects of some of those dungeons as well. Okay, so we figured out our playstyle, and want to know how do we gear. There's a lot of gear out there, and let's face it, we don't know which is always best. For Beast Mastery, we have to understand what our stats give us, and then know what our priority is. Our Mastery gives us a flat-out increase to our pet's damage overall, and it's extremely high to make sure we get that as high as possible. Our Criticals grant us Wild Call, which has a chance to give us a refreshed cooldown on our Dire ability, allowing us more damage and more Bestial Wraths. And more Haste allows us to get more shots to proc Wild Call, and Versatility is just a flat-out damage increase. Generally, for most Beast Mastery hunters, we're going to be looking for Mastery, Haste, Critical Strike, and then Versatility. But if you take one with the pack that increases our chance to get more pets with Wild Call, it can change our priority to Crit, Mastery, Haste, and then Versatility. Personally, when looking at gear, I try and balance Crit and Mastery, trying to fill in with Haste where I can. I also enchant and Gem for Mastery, as regardless it's going to be a flat damage increase for me, where Crit gives me that sweet RNG that I used to play on my Outlaw Rogue. Relic-wise, you'll want to try and get the highest item level that you can, obviously, but preferably you're going to go with Pack Leader and Jaws of Thunder abilities for raiding, although definitely be sure to take Furious Swipes because it can be a great addition to your AoE abilities. And for rotation, burst, all that, I've already prepared a clip, so let's go take a look at that. Okay, so we're here now. We're going to get a DBM timer set. What we're going to start off with is a pre-pot at 3 seconds, a kill command, followed by my burst macro, which I'll link in the description below. From there, we're going to start with Killer Cobra from Bestial Wrath, so we're going to go ahead and rotate between Cobra Shot and Kill Command. We're going to throw in a Dire Beast here and there, just to make sure that we don't cap out on our charges. So we're going to keep going, until Bestial Wrath runs out, in which case we obviously can't keep refreshing Kill Command anymore. So from there, we're just kind of going into preservation mode. We're going to cast Cobra Shot to make sure that we don't cap out on our focus. Kill Command on cooldown as well as Dire Beast. And oh, Bestial Wrath is already up. So we're going to go back into the Killer Cobra and just keep going and going from there. Now, as you can see, my DPS right now, it's about 1 million. It's going to go down a little bit, obviously, after that initial burst. We don't have every single one of our cooldowns. But overall, this is going to be the bread and butter of your single target rotation. Now, let's say this is a AoE rotation. Well, in that case, you're just going to be switching out your Cobra shots with your multi-shots just to keep sure that you're keeping up your Beast Cleave and that everything's going smoothly. So, as we can see here still, my DPS is still pretty decent. Pretty sure that I'd be able to get most pugs at this point, hopefully. If not, well, that's too bad. But overall, as you can see here, it's not a very difficult rotation to learn, and I definitely think it's something that you'll be able to do, no problemo. Well, boys and girls, that's the beginning guide to playing a Beast Mastery Hunter. I hope I've been able to give you a heads up, because although it's not a challenging class to play as compared to other specs in the game, it definitely can be rewarding. Let me know if this guide has helped you out. And you can always check out Parallax's Twitter, Discord, and the link below if you'd like to keep in touch with myself, Pre, Vile, Tyler. We all love making these videos and want to make sure that you guys like them as well. Also, definitely take a look at our Patreon page. Your support helps us create more of these quality videos and content, helps us get them to be better. All of our links are in the description below, and also make sure to check out our live stream Tuesdays and Wednesday nights when we stream our raids from 9 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time. Thanks again, guys, and have a great hunt.